Hello, hello, hello again. It is us, DC Sports Plus.
In the house, baby.
Yeah, episode 8. Coming to you the first day of June, about 7:46 p.m. Getting ready for game 1 of the NBA Finals. But let's be realistic. We ain't here to talk about that.
Nah.
Because this is DC Sports Plus.
Yeah, but we don't have the Wizards in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever see the Wizards in the NBA Finals.
Probably not.
But before we get on to what we do, I do want to say something. Mm-hmm. With the Wizards, I do like that 2 things. One, they hired my man Winger. Yeah. Somebody that has some experience. Even though we don't know with their hierarchy where he was with the Clippers, he had Frank above him.
Yep.
So I don't know how much was him doing the trades or whatever like that. But I do like the fact that he's going to be running everything, and he's going to have a general manager underneath of him.
Yeah, yep. He's going to bring in a GM.
So he's going to bring in somebody with his vision, so they can go ahead and get the ball rolling. So I'm going to, you know what? Before we talk Washington, which we're going to talk Commanders. This is the main thing we do. But I want to get your take. We haven't talked about this yet.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do that on purpose to get a raw, just right off the cuff response.
Well, I mean, my knee-jerk reaction was, okay, maybe they're starting to get it correct. And what I mean by starting to get it correct is that your most successful teams in all of pro sports have successful front offices.
Yeah, definitely.
For the most part, you're only as successful as your front office. And it all starts with the front office.
Yeah.
And bringing in a guy that's well-credentialed, that's going to come in and bring in, hopefully, a well-credentialed general manager, which I suspect he will.
Yeah.
That is going to lay the foundation to hopefully have a culture over the next couple of years that can be playoff contender for the Wizards, because it's been way too long. And, this city is, basketball is big in the DMV.
It is. It's huge.
It's huge. Basketball is big in the DMV. A lot of tradition here. From Georgetown to the Maryland Terps, UVA, you go on and on. Basketball is big in this area of the country. And for our pro team to be so insignificant over so many years is a problem. Yeah. So, again, don't want to get on a tangent on this. Bottom line is to keep it short and sweet. I like the gentleman we brought in. I think he's structured well. He has a good idea of how a front office should be run. He brings in a good GM. The GM makes the decisions, and hopefully we can become a contender again in the next few years.
I agree. And hit on one thing with that. I did also read a little story that said we had offered, was it Bob Myers?
Yeah, Bob Myers.
We had offered him a deal for $15 million a year that he turned down. I'm fine with that. Yeah. At least Leonsis is trying to put the money out there and saying, hey, you're going to have to pay to get somebody good.
Yep.
So that was a swing and miss. They go and get this other guy, Winger. So that's something good. Now, here I'm going to ask you a question. I read an interesting article, and it said that we had 3 options as of this point for him and the general manager to come in and get the team going forward. First option, obviously, is basically just re-sign your guys. Okay? You already have Bradley Beal. You re-sign Porzingis. You re-sign Kuzma. Yep. There's your big 3, and you go forward. Number 2, you keep some of them. Either you keep Porzingis, let Kuzma go in like a sign and trade, vice versa, do something to that effect, where you keep maybe 2 of them, but not the 3rd. And then there's the 3rd option, which they mentioned was just blow it all up. Just trade off Beal. Do sign and trades with Porzingis. Do sign and trades with Kuzma. Get this draft capital in. Get young guys in here and kind of blow it up and start from scratch. So I know we hadn't talked about this. That's why I wanted to hit you with this. Yep. What of those 3 options, what do you do?
Well, for me, first off, let me just say this right now. I respect Bradley Beal. I respect his skill set. But the bottom line is that referring to just Bradley Beal right now, he does not elevate the team.
Right.
So my first thing, right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm doing everything I can to trade him and get him out of this organization, have him go to a contending team and be a shooting guard for a good team and pick up some draft capital.
Yeah.
now to get into Porzingis and Kuzma, I like both of them very much. I do. And their numbers, they have some really good statistics. I mean, Porzingis averaged 23.5 points a game this year.
Yeah, they both had career years this year.
They had career years. And on the surface, you think, well, you got to resign them. But I am a firm believer when it is stunk this bad for this long, not to be over dramatic here, not to embellish this, but I want a complete break. And so, thinking about it from the big picture, thinking about it for the future, if I am running the Washington Wizards, I am completely tearing it down. I'm trading Bradley Beal. I'm working out some kind of sign and trade to get Porzingis and Kuzma out of here. And after the years they had, you should be able to get some draft capital. I'm completely blowing it up. Whoever the GM that we hire to come in, I am looking at completely revamping this roster. And I know it seems kind of extreme. And some people are going to argue, well, why would you want to get rid of Porzingis, man? He's in the prime of his career. He's a mismatch guy. Why do you want to get rid of Kuzma, man? Kuzma's a great guy. He's got some length. He can do a lot. To me, okay, that's great, but we have been so bad for so long. I want to make gargantuan changes. Yeah. When you're severely overweight and you need to lose weight, you don't just do minor things. And I'm speaking generally. I'm not speaking towards anyone individually. I'm making a general statement. If you are someone that needs to lose a lot of weight, you're not going to go to McDonald's 2 days out of the week instead of 6.
Yeah.
You have to stop going to McDonald's.
Right.
So the point I'm trying to make is that when you've been as bad as you've been, and the Wizards, you need to make some serious changes. I want to blow the whole thing up. There, I said it. I'm done.
You took my stuff, man.
Did I take your stuff,
You
man?
took my stuff, man. I thought you were going to at least keep one of them.
Nah.
But I've been thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
I was thinking about Porzingis
Yep.
at first, kind of building around him.
Yep.
But like we've talked about numerous times, one of the reasons that the Washington Redskins / football team / Commanders can never get over a hump is because we've never been bad enough. We've never blown it up.
Yep.
To try to rebuild. Mm-hmm. Dan Snyder, the rebuild was not in his vocabulary.
He didn't believe in it.
He didn't believe in it. So we've been saying that that's what you have to do to get better. You have to blow it up, and you have to start from day one. You have a new president. You're going to have a new general manager.
Yep.
Quite possibly could have a new head coach.
Yep.
If not this year, the next year. I agree completely. Blow it up. Get draft capital for all of these guys.
Yep.
Go into this year with 4 first-round picks.
Yep.
With Beal gone, Porzingis gone, Kuzma gone. You can't tell me you can't get 3 ones to go with your number 8.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them, knock on wood, maybe could be higher than 8.
Yeah.
Depending on who it is and how bad they want them.
Yep.
Go into this draft with 4 number 1s and go ahead and come with a young core, build a team. From those 4 young ones, I love Gafford.
Yeah.
I wish he was playing more minutes. I think they're doing a disservice to him by not having him as, a 35 to 40 minute guy every night. Mm-hmm. I would work on his free throw shooting though. Yeah. But I think you can build with him as center as a piece, and then go ahead and add these draft picks, this capital that you get from these guys, and really have an explosive young core to go ahead and, if nothing else, give fans hope.
Yeah.
The way Leonsis was, he was doing the Dan Snyder. He was doing the let's just make to the playoffs.
Yep.
Not to worry about winning a championship. Yep. He just wanted to make the playoffs.
Let's just not be embarrassed.
Let's not be embarrassed. Let's get close to 500. And this playing game is just crap to me.
Yeah,
I'm not necessarily one of those old school type of guys with this, that, and the other. But a play-in game, they have 8 spots for a reason.
Yep.
Why do you have to have 8 and 9 play?
Right.
Or 9 and 10, and it's just stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I think you're exactly right. You blow it up. You go ahead and use your GM and your skills as the president, and you bring in these young guys, get some talent from these other teams that may be kind of log jammed. Mm-hmm. that the guys aren't getting the minutes that they need, and there's somebody that can break out for a young team, and just go ahead and scratch it and give the fans some excitement and run an up-tempo, in-your-face, we're going to get after you game after game. Yeah, we're going to lose it first while we grow, but you can actually have some hope that, wow, these kids, sort of like the Nationals right now.
Yep.
You know, you have a young core. Get this young core together, give them some run, and let's see what happens.
See what can go down. I agree 100%. I think that you need to tear this thing down and start from the scratch, and you've got some assets that you can trade off and try to build this team back up in the image of whoever the new GM is going to be, and try to become a contender in the Eastern Conference. Bottom line.
Yeah, because that's all it is at the end of the day. It's Eastern Conference trying to be a contender. I mean, the 8th seed was the Heat, and they're, you know, they knocked off the Celtics, and now they're getting ready to go up against the Nuggets to try to win the title.
And let's be honest about that. This is an outlier.
Yeah.
This is not something, I mean, for all you Wizards fans out there that are like, man, look at the Miami Heat. Maybe we could do that. The bottom line is that the Miami Heat are an unbelievable organization that has developed undrafted players and has one of the best stars that no one talks about in Jimmy Butler.
Yep.
They're well coached. They have a great front office, and they went on a run. But don't get mistaken. They had to win a play-in game to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is that don't think that because the Miami Heat are in the NBA Finals that this is going to be something that's going to be a trend now.
Right.
If go back in history, when you look at the NBA Finals, 99% of the time it's somebody that's a top 2 seed.
Yeah.
So this is an outlier. Let's enjoy it while it goes on, but it's not the norm, and it's not going to ever be the norm.
Exactly. And so you need the talent. You need to build with the focus on winning a championship, not just playing in the playing game.
Thank you.
Okay.
I agree.
All right, so that's something new for us.
That's a little something new.
I mean, we started off, I wanted to, I wasn't going to start with the Wizards, but since, we talked about the basketball was on, figure we might as well jump on it.
Yeah.
All right, so now we can get into the conversation we were just having.
Yeah, yep.
And that's the Washington Commanders.
Yep.
And their off-season so far with the mini camp right now. They don't have, or the OTAs, don't have Montez Sweat.
Nope.
Don't have Chase Young.
Nope. Don't have Charles.
Don't have Charles Leonard.
Yep.
So what do you think?
Okay, well, that's what I was about to say. So I want to give my. Everybody seems to have an opinion on this. The Junkies have an opinion on it. Grant and Danny have an opinion on it. JP Finley. Everybody has an opinion on this. Again, what we say here is just our opinions. We don't have anything negative or personally bad to want to say towards any player. This is just our opinions on the way things have gone down. My feeling on this, and just my opinion, the Charles Leno not being there doesn't bother as much, even though I feel like his game has dropped some. He's a veteran that never misses a game. He's there.
Maybe he should,
right? but his level of play is what it is. It doesn't bother me as much that he's not there because he's a veteran left tackle that hasn't missed any time. Montez Sweat, it slightly irritates me, but again, here's a guy that basically his only missed time is 2 years ago when he had the broken jaw. Yeah. I think he missed 5 games.
Right.
This is a guy that had 8 sacks last year. He had 15 tackle for losses. He hit the quarterback. He's not elite. He's solid. He's a good player. I would like for him to be there, but it doesn't really rub me the wrong way that he's not there, although it would be nice if he's there. But let me now get to the third gentleman that is not there. And Mr. Chase Young. My feeling on this is that I understand that it's voluntary. I understand that this does not mean that you're not going to do well. But when you consider the history of this young man over the last 3 seasons, whether it has to do with injuries, whether it has to do with underperforming in his second year, whether it has to do with him making comments that kind of rub people the wrong way about making money when his teammates were at OTAs.
I gotta get my money, man. I gotta get my money.
Now again, I'm not judging this young man. I'm not saying this is a bad guy. I don't know him. I'm just a fan. So I'm not going to sit here and dog him out. I'm just going to simply say that when you are the number 2 overall pick and you are considered a transcendent talent, and you become Rookie of the Year, and then you come back the following year and have 1.5 sacks in 9 games before you get hurt, and I understand that there are other things, there are other factors involved, and there are other things that the defensive ends can contribute to. But let's be honest about this. When you are an elite edge rusher coming out of college and you're the number 2 overall pick, you are being brought in to be a disruptor and to sack the quarterback.
Yes.
When Khalil Mack and Myles Garrett and the Bosa brothers came out, were they getting 7 and 8 sack seasons if everyone's talking about how they were still getting almost to the quarterback? No. These are guys that were consistently having double-digit sacks.
Yep.
And with all due respect to Chase Young, that's what he needs to get up to. And the whole thing about the 5th-year option thing, I'm not going to get into that. I'm glad they didn't get him to the 5th-year option. How he feels about it is his business. I'm not going to try to get into the psyche of Chase Young. I don't know the young man. That's not what I'm here to do. All I'm here to do is take it for face value. Right. The bottom line is that if I was somebody that, or I'm not even going to say me, I'm just going to say if you're the number 2 overall pick and you have all these expectations, okay, and you come into the league and you underperform as much as he has, and then you get hurt, and then you come back significantly later than what was projected for him to come back, and then in those last couple of games of the season, you don't get it. You don't really see anything from him. Mm-hmm. I would want to make it a point that I be at OTAs. Yeah. So again,
that's valid. That's valid.
It's very valid. So my last thing before I kick it over to my cousin is, again, I'm not going to dog the young man out. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a bad guy. He could be a great guy. He could be a very respectful young man. But actions speak louder than words. And this is a production business. Yeah. This is a what have you done for me business. Yeah. And the bottom line is, whether you love Chase Young or you don't love Chase Young, whether Chase Young is a saint or not a saint, that's not what this is about. This is about making plays in production. Right. And whether he's been hurt or not hurt, the bottom line is that in 3 seasons he's had 9 sacks. Yeah. So I'm going to leave it there. It is what it is. It does annoy me and many people that he's not at the OTAs. And you know what? I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he goes out and crushes it and makes people like me eat my words and say, well, I guess he didn't need to be in OTAs. But that remains to be seen. I digress. I'm done. I kick it over to you, my brother.
Okay. I'm gonna take the baton, and here I go. I'm gonna reverse it. Okay. I'm gonna start off with Chase Young.
Let's reverse it.
Yeah. So, okay, Chase Young. Obviously, we've already talked about this, and we might even mention it on here. Yeah. He should be there. Yeah. Here is what I told you the other day.
Yep. We had a conversation about.
We had a conversation about this the other day. If me, not Chase Young, if me am a talented, transcendent player, year 1, playing in the playoffs, going up against Donovan Smith, and Donovan Smith stonewalls me the whole game. And if you're a fan, go back and watch the game. Look up the highlights. Yep. I'm not lying. Stonewall. Looked like Chase Young wasn't even on the damn field most of the time. Everybody asks, where's Chase Young? Chase Young was there. It's just Donovan Smith dominated him. Okay? If that's me, and then after the season, I'm hiring one of the best pass rush specialists that I can, as far as teaching-wise, to teach me how to be a better pass rusher, to how to get off of these guys, how to do better than what I did. But Chase Young doesn't do that. You know what Chase Young does? Chase Young does commercials. And he says, I'm going to get my money. You can't hate on me for getting my money. You getting your money, I'm going to get mine. Right. Doesn't go to the OTAs that year. Comes out, him and Sweat are talking about breaking the sack record. Right? Were they? Breaking the sack record between 2 players. Yep. How many sacks they were going to get. Yep. And before Chase gets hurt, he had, like you said, a sack and a half in 9 games. Okay, so instead of, like you talked about, working on your craft, trying to be better, trying to be that transcendent talent to say, hey, this will not happen to me again, he was worried about getting his money. Okay, that's fine. He is what he is in my estimation. He will be good. He will never be great because he doesn't want to work on his craft. And we've talked about this, having conversations just on our own, and that's fine. Yep. Didn't pick up the 5th-year option. Thank God.
Yep.
Think that's a beautiful thing, that one of the few things that Ron Rivera has done right.
Yep.
So he can go ahead and have whatever year he wants this year, and then next year he can go to whatever team and be a hired gun, and maybe somebody else can pull that out of him.
Yep.
So he should be there. By no way, shape, or form shouldn't be there. Okay, it's just ridiculous to me. Number 2, working backwards, Sweat.
Okay.
Is never at OTAs.
No.
Never at OTAs. Sweat is what he is.
Yep.
Again, he's somebody that is good, but will not be great.
Yep.
He does not work enough on the extras, maybe the spin moves. Like me, I would hire Dwight Freeney.
That's the guy.
Dwight Freeney, you show me how you get those spin moves.
Yep.
And show me how to get to the quarterback. I would hire him as my personal teacher and fly him with me as much as he would come with me to teach me to be that type of player. Yep. Now, Montez Sweat, when he's on the field, when all the guys are on the field, they give their all.
Yep.
He's not at OTAs. Me, I think he should be there because he is not coming off of a Pro Bowl.
No.
He is not coming off All-Pro. He is playing for a contract.
Yep.
And how many years of double-digit sacks has he had?
0.
Zero in 4 years. Has not had double-digit sacks once.
Nope.
As the first-round pick.
Yeah.
And he fell to 26.
He fell to 26.
It's not like he was like, oh, we jumped up into the late 20s to grab him. He was there because he fell.
He was a top 15 prospect.
He was a top 15 prospect. Most people had us taking him at 17.
Yep.
But we took Dwayne Haskins.
Yep.
May rest in peace.
Yep.
So, I'm not going to go too much more into that. He definitely should be there. I hope he has a good year and that we can do a trade and sign and trade with him or franchise tag.
Yeah, tag and trade.
Tag and trade. Still on basketball.
Yeah.
So, tag and trade with him because I've mentioned this before. If you look at the stats between him and James Smith-Williams, if you prorate James Smith-Williams the same amount of snaps that Montez Sweat got, their numbers are almost identical. So analytics-wise, James Smith-Williams is Montez Sweat on a cheaper contract.
Yeah.
So he can take over that spot, and I don't think the defense misses a beat. Okay? Leno. Again. We've talked about this. It should have been upgraded.
Yeah.
I with installing a new offense, he should be in there.
Yeah.
This is a new offensive coordinator, new verbiage, new plays, new everything. You are the starting left tackle for your team. You want as much of a head start on that as you can get.
That's a valid point.
So that's my point. He should be in there simply because of that. We wanted to upgrade left tackle. We've talked about that throughout the offseason. Yeah. We didn't do it. And by listening to the things and reading up stuff, doesn't seem like we were going to try to get Broderick Jones anyway.
No.
We were in on a corner. So Charles Leno should be there simply because it's a whole new installation. And he is going to be starting in the mandatory portion in June, that little bit of time he has, and then he's going to come right into training camp, and he's going to have to be out there learning on the go.
Yeah.
So I think that puts him behind the 8 ball, which in turn puts our offense behind the 8 ball.
Those are very good points, and that is a concern. And again, if I had it my way, I would have preferred that all of them be there. But the one that really bothers me, obviously we talked about it as young. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out and how these young men perform this year. Yeah. Because whether you like it or not, these are premium positions. Edge rusher is probably the most coveted position on the defense.
Yeah.
And next to quarterback, what position is any bigger than left tackle? Nothing. Nobody.
You got to protect the quarterback.
Yeah,
that's why they get paid.
Yeah, these are prime time positions, and these are the players at those positions.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds and how this season goes with those players at those key positions.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
All right, now moving on to a conversation we were having when I said, let's go ahead and do a pod.
Yep.
The word out of, the little OTAs is that they're trying Forbes in the slot.
Yes.
So, we were talking about this, and it just seems like to me and you as well, and I'm going to get your take first as always.
Yep.
it just seems like to me, if you draft a kid 16 overall, you should. We thought for sure he was your number 2. He was going to be lined up.
No worse
on
than
the
2.
outside. No worse than 2.
Unless he gets injured, no worse than 2.
Right. So he's going to be lined up over there from day one. And now they're saying they're tinkering with moving him into the slot, which he didn't play in college.
Right.
He exclusively lined up on the right side. I remember reading that.
Yeah.
He exclusively lined up on the right side. So he doesn't travel with your best player, and that's fine. And that's fine. A lot of corners do that,
right,
where they have a specific side that they're comfortable
on. They stick,
and that's
side.
Where they stick to.
Yep.
And they're going to play either zone from that, and they're going to play man, and they're going to follow the guy around. But they start off on the right side.
Right.
So you're taking a kid who is already jumping from the SEC, which is basically like the minor league, football,
right,
to the NFL, learning enough. Now you're going to throw him into. We want you to play in the slot too, which is a whole different type of dynamic than playing on the outside. Because there's more room that you have to work against, things like that. Usually the guys in the slot's a little shiftier, a little faster, which kind of plays into him. He's a 4-3 type of guy for speed.
Yeah.
But why don't you go ahead and take your take on what we were talking about the lining up of them. You go first.
Yeah, let me just say, and I'm going to also kind of go off into the second round pick as well. But let me first, the Forbes thing does kind of rub me the wrong way. I feel like, it is what it is. A lot of us thought that maybe 4 tackles would be gone, so we were going to go corner. That's what happened. The news out of Ashburn was that nobody was trying to call up to get up to that 16 spot. So again, I have no problem with the pick. But when you draft a corner 16 overall, you are bringing him in to be an outside corner. You're not trying to test this guy to be a slot guy. You're not trying to project him. You're not trying to move. This guy played exclusively, like my cousin said, on the right side. He was not playing in a slot. So why shake something up when it doesn't need to be shaken up? And again, this is the kind of thing that if you go back over the last 4 off seasons, that Ron Rivera will do that annoys you. And there are a number of things that you can point out. The fact, and I'm just going to sporadically throw some stuff out there. Giving up a 5th round pick for Kyle Allen and then him not being on the team after 1 season.
Yeah.
That sort of annoyed me. Like, why are you giving up a 5th round pick for a quarterback you like, even if he's just a backup, if you're only going to keep him for 1 season?
Yep.
Okay, you bring in, you go out there and you neglect the offensive line. I read something today where in 4 off seasons, in 4 drafts, Ron Rivera has used 1 draft pick in the top 60 on an offensive lineman. Yeah. Stuff like that. So again, let me get back to the point at hand. Again, I just threw out some other stuff, but again, this is another example of how this is annoying and it bothers me. And again, I am just a fan. I'm not in there. I'm not a professional, but common sense would tell me that when you draft a guy that is exclusively played on the right side of the field and as an outside corner, when you need an outside corner, and you draft him 16th, then that's what he is. You don't need to be sitting up here trying to be cute, kicking him inside, saying, hey, I wonder if he can play in the slot. Well, and then that's going to segue into the 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
Quan Martin, the pick that a lot of people were very upset about, that I was, for the record, upset about, and then kind of got a little bit softer on as I read more stuff on. But again, this is a guy that is that position flex that the Ron and his staff like to use, which is so annoying.
Yeah.
Because I've always been a proponent of if you play 2 positions, you don't play
1.
Thank you. If you play 2, you don't play 1. Meaning, Quan Martin could play some safety. He could play some nickel corner. But if you don't know where he's going to excel at, where do you put him? Now, this is a guy that we took in the 2nd round. If you want to take a position flex guy in the 5th round or the late 4th round and see what happens, okay. But 2nd round picks on winning organizations start in this league.
Yep.
They don't become hybrids that play 20, 30% of the snaps. And the bottom line is that from what we were reading and what my cousin and me were talking about was not only did we have Emmanuel Forbes, our 1st round pick, playing slot, but we had Quan Martin coming in and playing slot.
Yeah.
And
Juice.
And Juice.
And St. Juice.
And St. Juice. So, I mean, my thing is that how many guys is this just a tryout to who's going to be the slot guy? I mean, what are we doing here? Mm-hmm. I mean, my thing is that Emmanuel Forbes should be opposite St. Juice. That should be what it is. There's no debate up for that. Kendall Fuller There's been some back and forth on if he plays good out wide or in the slot, but traditionally, historically, we've always known him to really be at his best when he's in the slot.
Right.
Now, does that mean he can't play outside? No, I'm not saying he can't play outside. I'm saying that traditionally, with us, he has done his best and has flashed more as a slot guy. Right. Okay? St. Juice, when he was healthy, flashed and played best when he was on the outside. Right. So it should go to form that is how this should be. St. Juice, if healthy, is outside. Kendall Fuller gets kicked inside. And then your prized 16th overall pick plays outside as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's what got us going to where we were going to do the pod today, because we were sitting there talking about it, and the more that we talked about it, kind of the madder we got.
Right.
Because this isn't just something to bitch about.
No.
This isn't just something that's out of the air and we're plucking it out because there's nothing going on in the news cycle.
Nope.
This is about team building and roster building.
Roster construction.
Roster construction. If you want to build a roster that is going to compete, now granted, that we passed up on some second round offensive linemen who could help to take Quan Martin. And we said Quan Martin, everything we've read, hell of an athlete, hell of a position flex type of guy. But again, is he even going to be playing 50% of the snaps? And if he does, then you're talking about Percy Butler's been bumped.
Yep.
Fourth
round pick.
That he's been bumped because he's either going to play mostly at Buffalo nickel or safety, or now sometimes in the slot. Okay, sometimes in the slot. If you got him in the slot, just to say, you got Quan Martin in the slot, you got Juice on the outside, then you got Kendall Fuller, and you got Forbes. So not everybody can play the outside. There's only 2 outside positions. Okay,
I'm gonna make a point here, and this right here, the point that I'm about to make, I'm gonna give you an example of how behind we are with making good front office and draft pick moves. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. I'm gonna play this out for you right now. One of the top, if not the top center in the draft this year, was a guy by the name of John Michael Schmitz.
Yes.
He was no worse than the second best center in the league.
Yep.
He was available
Yep.
in the late 50s.
Yep.
Which I believe was the second round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he went like 10 picks after we picked
He did.
Mark.
Yeah, he went 57. So
Yep.
I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna play this for you very easily. A center that, by the way, has already been plugged in as the starter for the New York Giants. If you go to ESPN.com and go to the Giants roster, you will see the 57th pick in the draft already plugged in as a starter at center.
Yep.
To put this in perspective for you, as of right now, if you go to Washington's depth chart, we don't have one player that we drafted already slotted in as a starter, because Forbes has not been slotted in as a starter yet.
Right.
So again, I'm not saying that's not going to change. I'm not saying that's the be-all, end-all. I'm trying to make a point. And here is my point. The New York Giants, who not only made the playoffs last year, but won a playoff game, drafted a guy in the late second round that is already a plug-and-play starter.
Yep.
We drafted a guy 16th overall and 47th overall, and we don't even know what we're going to do with them yet. If that does not sum up the frustration and the annoyance that we are spewing right now, that is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that a good organization can draft a guy 57 and he's a plug and play. We can draft a guy 16 and then draft a guy 47, and we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do with him.
Yeah.
Do you see my point?
Yeah, definitely. And that's where I said where you have the roster construction and roster building. That Ron Rivera and that extension with the Martys is not getting the job done. Like I said, you definitely need corners. We were lacking in corners last season.
Paper thin.
And that didn't help because Juice was hurt.
Yeah,
ankle. With the ankle, and we just didn't have the depth that we needed. So you want to go ahead and address it, that's fine. I would have felt better if you're going to do that to draft a straight corner. Like you said, get Eli Ricks or get who's the guy that Philadelphia jumped back up into the
Ringo.
Keely Ringo.
Keely Ringo, yeah.
Jumped back up into the fourth round. They traded a third rounder next year and spent a fourth round pick on Keely Ringo.
Who had a high second round grade.
I would have rather drafted him instead of a hybrid type of guy. And afterwards, when everybody was talking about, wow, you just drafted another, say, oh, well, he can play slot corner as well.
Yeah.
And now everything I'm hearing, because like I said, just do the numbers.
Yeah.
Just add it up. You got Juice, you got Forbes, you got Fuller right now.
Yep.
And I don't think they're going to let Fuller go.
No.
So that's basically your top three. So basically Quan Martin is either going to be your Buffalo nickel or he's going to be your fourth corner.
Yeah.
One of the two. So again, this may seem kind of out of left field that we're going off on this tangent. When new information comes up, we have to address it. And when we're reading these things about what we're going to try him in the slot corner, it's just ridiculous. Like I said, we love John Michael Schmitz. We thought he would be great, and he could come in as a plug and play, just like he's doing for the Giants. So at 47, we could have took him, and it's so funny how the Giants took him.
Yeah.
They let Nick Gates go.
Yeah.
We signed him,
and now he's our starter.
And they get the young rookie who's probably going to be a Pro Bowl player.
Yep.
If not, he's going to be a plug-and-play 10, 15-year starter that is just one of those work pail type of guys that goes about his business every day and is one of the better centers in the league.
And for the record, their first-round pick was a corner, Deonte Banks, who I'm pretty sure the Giants are not testing in slot. I'm pretty sure he'll be playing wide.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he'll be playing wide. And then the points that my cousin and myself are making here is that, and again, you can take it back a previous year, drafting Fedarian Mathis. And my cousin made a good point. He's been saying it all year long. It seemed like we drafted him a year too early. What he meant by that was we drafted Fedarian Mathis with the assumption that Deron Payne wouldn't be back. Right. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Deron Payne is back.
Yeah.
So now you have the issue. Me and my cousin were just talking about it, where you have two starting DTs that are on the roster for the next 3 or 4 years as your starter.
Yep.
And you now have a rotational. And by the way, I am a huge fan of having rotational defensive linemen.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of having a second-round pick as a rotational defensive tackle.
No.
Because that is a waste of an asset.
Yep.
Again, good teams draft in the second round, and the players that come out of those second round are normally starters, sometimes really, really good top-tier players.
Yeah.
We draft a guy in the second round, and like my cousin said earlier today, before we got on the pod, he's probably going to play 30% of the snaps unless somebody gets hurt. Yeah. Again, I like Fedarian Mathis and what he brings to the table, but I don't like him in the second round when you've already got two starting DTs.
Right.
And now you've done the same thing with Quan Martin. Again, you're all about this. He could play safety. Maybe he could be Buffalo nickel. Maybe he could play slot. Well, we don't know where he's going. Yeah. So, again, how much is this second-round pick? And notice how I keep saying second-round pick. It's not the player that me and my cousin have a problem with. It's where they were what?
Drafted.
Thank you. Because the bottom line is that when you are getting position flex, when you are getting depth, you should not be looking in the second round for that type of player. In the second round, you should be looking for starters. Guys that can come in, they have a specific position, a la John Michael Schmitz.
Yep.
He is not coming in to be a left guard. He is not coming in to be a swing tackle. He is a pure, unadulterated center.
Yep.
He's not coming in to be the water boy or a wide receiver or the general manager. I'm being facetious here. He's coming in to be the starting center for the New York Giants. Just like Emmanuel Forbes should be coming in to be an outside corner, not a slot corner, not something else, just like Quan Martin. Quan Martin should be coming in to be what I would like to see, considering where we drafted him, if we're being honest with each other, and we're forgetting about who else is on the roster, Quan Martin should have been brought in to either be a starting safety or a slot corner.
Well,
one or the other.
Well, here, I'm going to scare you.
Scare me.
I'm going to scare you.
Scare me.
Fedarian Mathis drafted a year too early, right?
Right.
Because of Deron Payne?
Yeah.
Who's up for a contract next year?
Cam Curl?
Cam Curl.
Huh?
So you think maybe that Cam Curl's playing hardball, his agent's playing hardball, and again, Ron Rivera's MO.
Yeah.
Draft him a year early.
Yeah.
So where they have somebody to fill the spot if they leave. Now, knowing Ron Rivera, if there's any choice to it, He'll re-sign Cam Curl.
Now what happens to Quan Martin?
Now he's a 30 to 40% player, where he plays 30 to 40% of snaps.
Man, we're going to have a lot of second-round picks with some playing time, man.
Well, the good thing that we have going is that regardless, most likely, from what we've seen from this, no matter how good the team is, no matter how good Sam Howell is, the offensive line is not good enough.
Nope.
We are going to be gutting the front office and the coaching staff next year.
Yes.
So we will actually have adults come in. They will be able to revamp the team as they need to and go from there. So that's one thing that we have to look forward to.
And not only that, and we're sitting here talking about the players that we've drafted and where we're taking them and position flex and opposition flex and hybrids, and we're going through a lot of stuff. We're throwing a lot of stuff at y'all. But the point that we're trying to make is that these players, we like these players.
Yeah, as players,
if you look up Quan Martin and you watch his highlights and you watch some stuff on him, good player, man. Good player.
Yeah.
But again, it's where we take him. And to piggyback off that real quick, the Stromberg pick.
Yeah, I was getting ready to get into that.
Yeah, something came out on Ricky Stromberg that there was something reported that they view him as a developmental center.
Yeah.
And then a guy had tweeted out, and I read the article on it, and it was very interesting about how it annoyed him, and I kind of had to agree with the annoyance of this, is that you drafted a guy in the 3rd round to be a developmental center. Traditionally, you don't draft offensive linemen in the 3rd round to be developmental.
Right.
When you are drafting someone in the 3rd round that's developmental, that's normally a quarterback.
Yeah.
Maybe you draft a pass rush specialist that develops into a more elite pass rusher.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but why are you drafting the guy with the idea that this is going to be a developmental guy in the 3rd round?
Yeah. It's because Ron Rivera does not know what he's doing. He's out of his depth for roster construction.
Yes.
And like I said, if you wanted a center that bad, if you really like Ricky Stromberg, should have loved John Michael Schmidt.
Should have loved
He
John
was sitting there
right there.
There was so many drafts that I was afraid he wouldn't fall to us. So many mocks that showed him going late 1st, early 2nd. No chance in hell he makes it to 47.
There he is.
He's sitting there at 47.
A pure center.
A pure center. Bring this guy in, and you have your plug and play. Or hell, if you want to give Gates an opportunity, give him opportunity. But he's not beating out this kid.
He's not beating out this kid.
But then
this kid is a beast.
Yeah, and then you sit there and you draft, Ricky Stromberg. We applauded it.
Yep.
Finally, we went offensive line in the 3rd round. Braden Daniels in the 4th round.
Yep.
Developmental guys. Both of them.
And not just developmental guys, but position
flex.
Which, again, not to be the dead horse. When you play 2 positions, you don't play 1.
Exactly.
And again, position flex. So, to me, there are 2 ways you can look at position flex. You can look at it either the glass half full, the glass half empty. The glass half full is saying, wow, you can play multiple positions. That's invaluable. The glass half empty is you're not good enough to play one specific position.
Right.
And that's my concern is that you're using mid-round picks, which mid-round picks in this league contribute. I hate to tell you this.
Yeah.
Look back on 3rd and 4th round picks over the draft, over the course of history. You will find a plethora, littered. You will find Pro Bowl and Hall of Famers.
Oh, yeah.
That get picked in the 3rd and 4th round.
Yeah.
Why are we taking guys that are position flex that may do well at one position, but maybe they do better at another, or maybe they're just not good enough to play one position, so they float around to a few.
Right.
We don't need a bunch of Jags. We don't need a bunch of Joes. When I say Jags, I mean just another guy.
Yep.
In other words, we need to raise our ceiling. We've done a good job of raising the floor, but guess what, man? If you have a high floor but a low ceiling, that's going to get you 7-8 wins every time.
That's it.
It goes back to the situation with the Wizards where they're just playing to be medium.
Yep.
You need to raise the ceiling. You can't just draft to bring in good, solid guys. You need those solid guys, but every good team has elite guys.
Yep.
You can't just have a bunch of Joes, man.
Yep.
I mean, come on with that.
Yeah, it's something. Like I said, we'll be talking about this more, I'm sure, once the mandatories come, once training camp comes, we'll be talking about it. We just wanted to get on here because we were having that conversation about it, and it kind of, some of the things that were coming out kind of caught us wrong, and then, everybody has their own opinion.
We all have our own opinion. Anything can happen here. And again, this is just stuff that we're pointing out. For all we know, Emmanuel Forbes could end up playing the wide corner the entire season. Quan Martin might get a spot where he's playing a lot, and all this is for nothing. We don't know. This is just some early reaction to the stuff that's been coming out of Ashburn as far as where guys are at right now, as far as where they're playing at.
Right.
And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out when we get into the mandatories, we get into training camp. It'll just be interesting to see how it works out. Yeah. But it should be fun either way.
And one thing I wanted to bring up, though, I didn't get a reason why Casimir Allen wasn't there. Who's that UCLA undrafted rookie that was a speedster, kick returner, wide receiver. I don't know why he wasn't at the at this OTAs, at least today. I didn't look into that. Like I said, we weren't sure we were doing a pod until I came over. So that's another thing to keep track of. He is one of my dark horses that I said is probably going to make the team.
Very interesting skill set.
Yeah, very definitely, and something that we need. We kind of lack that. And one thing I did read too as well. They also had different people lining up taking direct snaps. They had Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Gibson.
Nice.
Taking snaps in the direct snap formation.
Throw a little Eric Bieniemy into the mix.
Eric Bieniemy's doing some stuff, man. So I do like that. It looks like he's putting his stamp on it, and I think that's going to pay dividends, and I think that'll help Sam Howell out.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree with you on that. Absolutely.
All right, so we talked Wizards to open up the show, which we've never done before. The first time we started with something else other than Washington football, and then we got into the Commanders talk. I do want to issue one more thing. It says that Brian Davis has withdrawn his lawsuit with his fictitious money or whatever the hell. Whatever they're reporting, the possible fictitious money. I did hear that he withdrew that today with the right to refile down the road. So that part of it's out. Now it's just a matter of tweaking the numbers to please the overseers of the NFL, and then get it done. Right now, nothing's going to happen. There's no reason to get alarmed that the new owner isn't in there yet. This season is as it is right now. It's going to play the season. So I think, like they said, at first I heard about it, they were talking in March that it could end up being before the season. Yeah. And it looks like those guys were prophetic in that, the ones that had reported that. I think even Front Office Sports might have said that. But again, no reason to worry about that. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of the NFL agreeing and the Harris Group agreeing to what this is going to be, because Irsay says they don't want to start changing rules, but you're going to have to. The same rules can't be used from 1980 to 2023. Nah. You just can't have it.
The inflation, the money now, the cost to buy teams now, I
mean, hell, you just take a look from when Snyder bought him in 99, it was what, 880 million or something like that?
It was a little over 800 million.
Over 800 million, and his reign of terror, and they're up to 6.05 billion.
Enough said.
So you got to revamp the rules and how they do things, what debt they're allowed to take on.
Debt ceiling ratio.
That's what it is. There's $1 billion unsecured debt that the owners in the finance committee are freaking out about. Mm-hmm. I mean, this dude, if it was somebody else that I didn't know anything about, I would be worried. Mm-hmm. This dude has 2 other franchises he's the head of. Yep. So I don't think you really have to worry about this money, this $1 billion. But I'm sure they might maybe cut it in half, take some more money in, get some more cash raised, and then they'll be able to go ahead and throw a little bit more dollars in there, and then the NFL will go ahead and ratify it. So if you're listening to it and you're starting to be like, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? I was that dude for a long time. Now I'm just like, just chill. Snyder isn't even involved in anything. No. He's over in London, or if he's flying over in France on his boat. He's not having anything to do with us. He's already signed the agreement. Yep. He doesn't want anything to do with it. Nope. He just wants to be done with it, and we want to be done with him. Yep. So
it is what it is. It's done. Like I said, nothing was going to happen with the front office anyway. Even if during the annual meetings late May it got ratified, no changes were going to be made
No.
this far into the offseason.
No.
So whether it gets done now or July 1st or the start of training camp or the start of preseason, it wouldn't have changed the front office or the coaching staff this year.
Right.
So it will get done. It will be very celebratory. It's just a matter of time.
Yep. And if you're listening, and if you know anybody that is talking about a parade, we're down.
Down with it.
I'll be in Arizona at that time. Hell with it. I'll fly out
Heck yeah.
and go to a parade celebrating Dan Snyder's finally being out of the D.C. area.
Yes.
And getting a new lease on life for our beloved franchise.
Yes. Love it. Love it.
All right, so we appreciate y'all listening. Again, like, subscribe on YouTube. We'll have this up later on tonight. So this will be up on YouTube on the 1st of June. Like I said, subscribe, tell everybody about it if you like it. Leave some comments, good, bad, indifferent. And then go from there. Also on Spotify, it's on there. A couple other platforms. Take a look for it. But if you want, like I said, we appreciate it getting the word out. And everybody listening, we thank you. Appreciate it.
Holla.